And so we're going to talk about how to get information on nonprofits and NGOs so that we can make some judgments about the organizations that we're looking at. And the first step in this process is to get the proper name of the entity that we're looking at. And what I mean by the proper name is the legal name of the entity. And as we're going to show, that's not always an easy thing to do. And so to start off, we're going to take a look at three NGO entities or nonprofit entities. The first is the Lutheran Social Services of the South. The second one is a nonprofit called 5051, which is a political action nonprofit. And then the third one we're going to look at is Episcopal Migration Ministries. And so the first step in trying to find the legal name and legal information for these entities is to look them up on one or more websites. And so we use a website called ProPublica. There are many out there. This is just one that we use. And so I'm going to share my screen on ProPublica so you can see what we're looking at. So I've shared the screen. I'm going to share the screen, and you should be able to see the ProPublica website that we're going to be using in this first part of our exploration. And so this is just one of many websites that exist where you can find out basic information about nonprofits. And so what we need to do here is to type in Lutheran Social Services of the South. And I've already done this before, so I can just click it in there. And once it's in there like that, we can hit search. And now we're going to come up with the actual name. It's Lutheran Social Services of the South Incorporated. Okay, so that's the legal name of this nonprofit, which is part of the Lutheran Church. And although churches don't file information with the IRS, their business entities, their NGOs or their nonprofits do. So we can now just click on this title and we'll get some summary information about this particular nonprofit. First of all, we'll see that it's listed as a 501c3. What that means is this entity has been formed as a nonprofit under the requirements of the IRS tax code known as 501c. It's just a part of the massive tax code of the federal government. The 3 designates that not only is it a nonprofit, but when people make donations to this entity, they can take those donations as a tax deduction. There are other 501c categories. There's 4, 5, and I don't know how many others. Those are nonprofits for income tax purposes, but donations to them are not tax deductible.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if this is the non-church part of the Lutheran Church, the business part, then if I write a check to the Lutheran Church, does it go into the part of the church that nobody knows about called the church, that they don't have to file anything? Or it goes into this, which is used for the business of the church?
If you write a check,
Like on Sunday, if I write a check and I put it in a basket, does it get put into this, or it's a separate thing it gets put into? So that, because I'll understand it is if I write a check to anything to do with the church, I don't have to pay, I can claim it on my taxes.
Correct. If you make the check payable to the Lutheran Church and there's nothing in the for statement where you explain what the check is for, it goes to the church. If you write it to the church and it's for Lutheran Social Services of the South, Inc., they can probably deposit that with Lutheran Social Service of the South Incorporated.
Okay, so when I write a check on Sunday and put it in a basket, they can't pick to put it in there. I have to designate that that's where I want it to go.
I believe that's true. Now, I'm not a tax person, but I believe that's the way.
But either way, I, as the person writing the check, get to write it off either by writing it to this or just putting it in the basket at church.
Yes, because this is a 501c3. If it was a 501c4, you could donate to it, but you couldn't take
Oh, that's what you were saying.
a tax deduction. Now, the purpose of this exercise is we've learned that we have the exact name of the legal name of the entity. We know that it's a 501c3, so donations are tax deductible, and we get a little bit of information about the finances of the entity for the latest filing dates, which is 2024. But there's a lot more information that we can get. And to get that information, we want to pay attention to this number up here, the EIN number. That's called the Employment Information Number. And every time you form a business and you register it with the IRS, you get a number like this. And so the EIN number is to a business what the Social Security number is to an individual person. It's just a unique number that identifies a legal entity. People are legal entities, they get Social Security numbers. Businesses are legal entities and they get EIN numbers. And this number is going to be important for finding some additional information on another website. So with this EIN number, we can go into the IRS website and we can go look for something called a Form 990. And so you might ask, well, what is a Form 990? It's a form that is to nonprofits what the IRS Form 1040 is to people. When we file taxes as people, we file the Form 1040 plus a lot of other forms that go along with it. And that form gives the IRS information about our finances for tax purposes. Now, the Form 990 used for nonprofits and NGOs and all that, it's not for tax purposes, but it is to let the IRS know what the entity has been doing from a financial standpoint for their ability to be under the IRS nonprofit code. And it makes this information public so that the public can see what these entities are doing also. So I'm going to stop sharing this website now because we've got this EIN number. So I'm going to stop sharing this.